Friends, if round 1 didn't give you thrills, surely these 50 nightmarish facts about haunted places will give you chills. In the 17th century, a man named John Jarman owned the Austric Inn in London, England. Jarman had rooms at lower rates but kept a separate VIP suite above the kitchen. Little did the VIP guests know that when they were sleeping, Jarman would open a trapdoor underneath their bed and dump their unsuspecting guests into a pot of boiling water in the kitchen below. Jarman killed 60 people, making sure to steal their valuables after he did so, using the inn's basement to store bodies. Today, when people visit the inn, they claim to feel a strange sense of unease. There is a very small island in the canals of Xochimilco just outside of Mexico City. The location is better known by its nickname, the Island of the Dolls. In the 1920s, a young girl was playing in the murky water of the canals and drowned. Years later, in the 1950s, a man named Julian Santana Barrera bought the tiny island and moved his family there. Barrera soon met the ghost of the little girl who insisted on a doll. He began leaving dolls for her, but she became more and more demanding. Barrera's life was consumed with giving the ghost what she wanted. His body was found drowned in the exact same spot where the girl had died. Today, this spot is a tourist attraction, and guests to the island are required to bring a doll as an offering to the little girl's ghost. Creepy dolls hang from nearly every tree. The Carrick Fergus castle in Northern Ireland was built in the late 1180s. In the 1800s, a soldier named Robert Rainey was stationed at the castle and fell in love with Betsy Bard. Bard, however, was unfaithful, and in a fit of rage, Rainey killed her other lover. Rainey's friend Timothy Lavery was then pinged for the murder and hanged for a crime he didn't commit. They say that Lavery's ghost still haunts the castle, seeking revenge for the injustice. The tallest castle in France is the Chateau de Brissat. In the 15th century, there was a double homicide inside the castle walls. Now, some say that the Green Lady will roam the halls wearing a green dress. Her face looks as though she is halfway through decomposing, and she walks slowly through the hallways of the castle. Mineral Wells, Texas is home to the massive, abandoned and potentially haunted Baker Hotel. Visitors have claimed to hear a young boy crying, "It hurts, mommy." Another legend says that a woman killed herself by jumping from the hotel's roof, while yet another story tells of a ghostly old woman sitting in a wheelchair muttering, "I can't do it, I can't do it." Since it's abandoned and without electricity, anyone who explores the Baker Hotel would have to do so in the dark. Thanks to its spectacular architecture, the Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania used to be the most expensive prison in the world. The famous gangster Al Capone was once incarcerated there. During his stay, Capone claimed to see the ghost of Jimmy, a friend he was responsible for killing. There is a massive forest in New Jersey called the Pinelands National Reserve, or the Pine Barrens. The forest is over 1.1 million acres. Local legend has it that the Italian mafia used the woods as a dumping ground for the bodies of their victims. Björkvatnet, Sweden is a very small town with a very big haunting. The local vicarage is said to be home to ghostly women in grey. One woman staying at the vicarage woke up to find 3 women, all wearing grey, standing at the foot of her bed and silently staring at her while she slept. The building has since been converted to a restaurant, although the bedrooms are available to rent. If anyone sleeps in the vicarage, they get a certificate for surviving the night. Hundreds of men and women were executed at Bodmin Jail in Cornwall, UK, in the 1700s for their violent crimes. One legend tells of a future inmate who gave birth to a disabled child. Unable to handle raising a baby with a disability, she drowned her child in a well and was arrested for murder. Now, when children pass by the woman's old cell at Bodmin, they have been known to ask, "Who was that lady that was standing there crying?" In December of 1920, the Westminster Abbey Choir was practicing songs a few days before Christmas. The choir had locked themselves inside of the empty church to be safe during the nighttime rehearsal. When they were done singing a few songs, an elderly woman wearing old-fashioned clothing appeared. Although no one knew how the woman managed to get inside, they pulled up a chair for her. When the choir finished practice, however, the woman vanished just as quickly as she had appeared. The only sign of life was a cat running through the church. The community later theorized that the old woman was the ghost of a former choir mistress who loved both carols and cats. For the next 10 years, people claimed to have seen this old woman appear and reappear in Westminster Abbey. The White House is also home to hauntings. Abraham Lincoln's son, Willie, actually died of typhoid fever at 11 years old in residence. Mary Todd Lincoln was so upset about her youngest son's death that she would hold seances in the Red Room to summon and communicate with his ghost. For years after his death, people thought they saw the ghost of Willie Lincoln roaming the halls. During the Taft administration, there were also sightings of a ghost boy whom staff called the Thing. William Howard Taft eventually forbid any mention of the Thing in the White House. The Banff Springs Hotel in Alberta, Canada was built in 1887 and remains a luxurious vacation spot. It is also a haunted spot, as one story goes, a woman was going to get married when her dress caught fire from a nearby candle. She panicked, fell down the stairs and died from a broken neck. People say that the woman's ghost shows up to other weddings, sometimes dancing in her dress complete with flickering flames on her gown. Hesse, Germany is home to the Babenhausen barracks, which housed soldiers during World War II. Many people who visit the now abandoned barracks say that they can still see ghosts of the soldiers or hear German drill commands in the distance. Some visitors also say that when they pick up the telephone, they hear the voice of a woman talking backwards. The Lutz House of Amityville, New York is possibly one of the most famous haunted places. The true story of what happened is almost as chilling as the Amityville horror movie. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his parents and siblings with a rifle at 3:15 a.m., going from room to room and shooting them in their beds. Just 1 year later, the Lutz family moved in. The abode is a massive 5-bedroom house and the family couldn't resist getting it for only $80,000. However, the Lutz clan only spent 1 month living in the home. They experienced so many supernatural phenomena that they were forced to leave. The Lutzes experienced green slime pouring down the walls and a ghostly voice screaming, "Get out!" among other events. George Lutz, the stepfather, would wake up every day at exactly 3:15 a.m. as if tempted to repeat the crimes of DeFeo. The entire family passed a lie detector test when they testified that their story was true, and the son, Daniel Lutz, claims to still have nightmares about the house even as an adult. Ronald DeFeo Jr. was interviewed in jail where he is still alive and living out a life sentence. He said that the voices in his head are still urging him to kill. Anne Boleyn was married to King Henry VIII. She was beheaded for adultery, incest, witchcraft and conspiracy against the king in the Tower of London in 1536, just 3 years after her wedding to the king. When Anne Boleyn was escorted to the scaffold to be beheaded for her crimes, she begged to leave to address the crowd gathered to witness her execution. Despite the lack of evidence against her, her final words to the people were as follows: "Good Christian people, I am come hither to die according to law, for by the law I am judged to die, and therefore I will speak nothing against it. I come here only to die, and thus to yield myself humbly to the will of the King, my Lord. And if, in my life, I did ever offend the King's grace, surely with my death I do now atone. I come hither to accuse no man, nor to speak anything of what whereof I am accused, as I know full well that aught I say in my defense doth not appertain to you. I pray and beseech you all, good friends, to pray for the life of the King, my sovereign lord and yours, who is one of the best princes on the face of the earth, who has always treated me so well that better could not be, wherefore I submit to that with good will, humbly asking pardon of all the world. If any person will meddle with my cause, I require them to judge the best. Thus I take my leave of the world and of you, and I heartily desire you all to pray for me. O Lord, have mercy on me. To God I commend my soul." She spoke this address bravely, with a calmness that many of the dukes and earls gathered there later wrote about. She was then asked to kneel, awaiting the French executioner's word. Reports stated that she appeared dazed and fearful as she awaited the blow, saying a simple prayer, "O Christ, receive my spirit." As the steel met her neck, immediately the executioner did his office. Weir Ellison, the lady in the tower. Her head fell onto the straw and her body lay on the scaffold for several hours because burial preparations had not been made. There have been many reports of a ghostly apparition of a headless woman roaming near on the north side of the White Tower, where Boleyn was killed, as well as in the White Tower.